If your team has ever sent you a meeting invite titled Collaboration Session, and it turned out to be 3 people talking, 8 people emailing, and 1 person doing all the work, keep listening. Welcome back to the Fulcrum Lab podcast, where we talk intelligence, strategy, leadership, and discernment, and occasionally stage an intervention for teams that think reply all is a form of collaboration. We are in the leadership portion of the podcast, and today we're talking about how authentic and purposeful leaders foster collaboration. Not fake teamwork, not we put synergy on the slide, real 2 are better than 1 collaboration that makes the work better and the people stronger. In earlier episodes, we talked about followership, leadership theories, modeling what matters, and honest self-evaluation. You could think of those as getting your own house in order. Today, we expand the circle. The hard truth is this: the reach and influence of 1 person, no matter how gifted, is tiny compared to what a healthy team can do. If you want your impact to grow, you have to learn how to stop being the hero in every scene and start being the kind of leader who empowers and unleashes collaboration. Historically, we didn't do this very well. Under the old great man theory, the story was that some people were born to lead and everyone else was born to follow. Then scientific management came along and said, people are basically machines. If you standardize hard enough, you can minimize human variance. That is not exactly a recipe for partnership. If you hold a pessimistic view of people, they're lazy, they don't care, they'll cut corners unless I'm watching, then collaboration sounds like a luxury you can't afford. You default to command and control because you don't trust anyone. But if you start to see followers as genuine partners in the mission, everything changes. Over the last 100 years or so, leadership practice has slowly moved from command and compliance to influence and empowerment. Alongside modeling what matters and engaging in honest self-evaluation, fostering collaboration becomes a core practice for building a healthy organizational community, where leaders and followers are in real partnership, pursuing shared goals. The basic concept underneath it is simple: 2 are better than 1. The messy part is living like you believe that. Here's the catch: truly collaborative leadership has a cost. It means you, as a leader, have to let go of some power. Authoritarian leadership is all about accumulating positional power and influence. Collaborative leadership gives power away so others can use their gifts and abilities. One of the clearest pictures of this is servant leadership, putting the needs of others first, genuinely pursuing their good. That can diffuse a lot of tension. It's hard to stay mad at someone who is clearly not playing the my ego versus your ego game and is trying to serve you. I remember one of my early supervisors who modeled this beautifully. I asked him if I could put myself in for an award. I had a list of bullets ready to go. He looked at me and said, "You focus on the mission, I'll focus on taking care of you." It was his way of saying, "I've got you, do the work. The recognition is my job to worry about." That one sentence built more trust than any "we're a family here" speech ever could. He chose to use his position to elevate others, not himself. That's collaboration DNA. Of course, focusing on others is costly. Developing people takes time, attention, energy, and resources. You could do it faster yourself. You could keep all the interesting work at your level. You could hog all the credit. But if you do that, you end up with a weak, hesitant team and a permanently exhausted you. Effective collaborative leaders are humble and servant-oriented. The opposite is pride and self-aggrandizement. The put me in the spotlight reflex that shrinks everyone else's role. Pride kills collaboration because it can't stand sharing. When followers don't own the work, their passion dies. We've seen this at massive scale. The failure of communism worldwide is one giant case study. On paper, it was supposed to be ownership by the workers. In practice, it became ownership by an elite. When you don't share real risk and real reward with people, you disincentivize them. They stop caring. At a smaller scale, the same thing happens on teams. If everything belongs to the leader and everyone else is just labor, collaboration will be minimal and grudging. Contemporary research backs up the flip side. Leaders who encourage followers to work together instead of pitting them against each other are significantly more effective. That sounds obvious, but we will still do the opposite all the time, ranking people, comparing them, making them compete for scraps of recognition. Collaboration thrives when people see each other as teammates, not as threats. So how do you foster collaboration instead of just saying the word a lot? It helps to see where we're coming from. In the early 1900s, leadership research was obsessed with control. A 1927 definition of leadership literally described it as the ability to impress the will of the leader on those led and induce obedience, respect, loyalty, and cooperation. That view treats power as a tool the leader holds and uses to bring everyone in line with their agenda. It leans heavily on positional authority and external motivators. You do this because I said so, and because I control your paycheck. More recent work shifts the emphasis from leader outcomes to shared outcomes. Instead of asking, how do I get them to do what I want? It asks, how do we build something together that we all take ownership of? That's at the heart of servant leadership. One key difference between servant leadership and more traditional models is how the leader uses and distributes power. Here's a powerful line in this episode. The only authority really worthy of allegiance is the authority that followers freely and knowingly grant to a leader in response to that leader's servant posture. In other words, the only leadership that truly lasts is the kind that has earned people's trust through service. Servant-led organizations don't assume they deserve your loyalty just because they exist. They understand that people will freely follow leaders who consistently act like servants, not overlords. As leaders learn to lean more on personal power, character, competence, relationships, rather than just positional power, genuine coordination and collaboration become realistic. The goal isn't to erase power. It's to make sure it's used in healthy, empowering ways, not hoarded and weaponized. Collaboration works best when team members are treated as authentic partners in shared work, not as agents promoting someone else's personal agenda. Dwight Eisenhower captures this beautifully. It is better to have one person working with you than 3 people working for you. Humble leaders are the ones best equipped to share power, share credit, and invite others into the center of the work. Humility is not a nice accessory here, it's essential. Practically, the world we're in now is too complex for one centralized authority to stay informed enough to make every decision. Technology hasn't fixed that, it's amplified it. The information is at the edges. People at all levels see things the center can't. That means individuals at every level need to be prepared to lead, using their local knowledge to solve problems where they are. That's a call for more collaboration, not less, through real team processes, not just stand-up meetings where everyone reports to the boss and leaves. If you've studied team dynamics, you may have run into Tuckman's model, forming, storming, norming, performing. In real life, that usually looks like everyone's polite, then everyone's annoyed, then everyone's slightly less annoyed, then eventually everyone's actually working together. Fostering collaboration means you expect some storming. You help your team move through it instead of panicking and yanking all the decisions back to your desk. A collaborative climate doesn't just happen because you put team in everyone's title. A team is not a group that works together. A team is a group that trusts each other. That trust is built when people see that their leader will listen, share power, protect them when they take smart risks, and give them genuine credit when things go well. It's also built when they see each other show up, pull their weight, and tell the truth. There are some generational and cultural dynamics here too. Younger adults today tend to prefer leadership styles that favor collaboration and participation. At the same time, different cultures have different expectations. Some Anglo-Nordic cultures lean more participative, while some Asian and Eastern European contexts lean more hierarchical. If you're leading a diverse team, you'll need to navigate those expectations thoughtfully. But the core principle still holds. People do their best work when they feel like partners, not cogs. One of my favorite lines is, "Vision birthed in isolation dies in isolation." A vision that gets dreamed up by 3 people in a closed room and then sold to everyone else will almost always land flat. People might nod, they might comply, they will not own it. Building community around a shared vision and then empowering that community to own and enact it together is a much more effective way to foster collaboration. It takes longer, but what you get is not just buy-in, you get co-ownership. Here are 3 simple but demanding principles for fostering collaboration. First, lead with humility. You truly believe you don't have all the answers and you act like it. You ask for input before you lock in decisions. You're willing to say, "I don't know," in front of your team. You don't feel threatened when someone else has a better idea. Second, celebrate the contributions of others. That means deliberately standing back and putting other people in the spotlight. You ask yourself, am I okay with my team members being smarter and better than me at a bunch of things? Healthy, collaborative leaders aren't just okay with that, they're thrilled by it. They understand their job is not to be the star player, it's to be the coach who builds a winning team. Third, embrace the fact that some things are only better together. There's a proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Collaboration is slower in the short term. You have to explain context, wrestle with disagreements, coordinate schedules, but the payoff is in the quality, resilience, and scale of what you can accomplish. A good team gives you persistence when you want to quit, courage when you're hesitant, support when you're tired, and accountability when you're about to make a very on-brand bad decision. So here's your homework from this episode. In the coming week, intentionally look for places where you are relying on others, whether you admit to it or not. Notice who quietly rescues your projects, who spots the errors, who connects the dots you missed. Take a moment to celebrate their contributions out loud in front of other people. Then ask yourself, where would a more collaborative process help us go farther, not just faster? This is the Volcker Lab Podcast. In our next leadership episode, we're going to zoom in on one of the most underrated collaboration superpowers, valuing and appreciating people. How the way you notice, name, and celebrate others can quietly turn a collection of individuals into a real team.